Elvis Presley once shot his car because it wouldn't start. He bought his mother a famous pink Cadillac, even though she couldn't drive. The king of rock and roll owned hundreds of cars, maybe over 200, and gave away dozens to friends, family, and even complete strangers on a whim. Number 9. The caddy that started the gifting spree, maybe. Let's talk about a 1971 Cadillac Eldorado Convertible. Now, Elvis loved Cadillacs, like really loved them. He bought loads of them throughout his life. This bright yellow Eldorado is special because it connects to one of those wild stories about Elvis just giving cars away. Picture this: Memphis, 1971. Elvis is cruising around in this flashy yellow convertible. It's got a massive 8.2-liter V8 engine, the biggest engine Cadillac ever put in a passenger car at the time. Think pure American muscle wrapped in luxury. It had automatic, climate control, power, everything. Windows, seats, locks, top, and that smooth Cadillac ride. It was the kind of car that screamed, "Look at me," especially in bright yellow. So the story goes that Elvis was driving this beauty when he saw someone admiring it. Maybe it was at a dealership, maybe on the street. Details get fuzzy, like an old photo. What people agree on is that Elvis, feeling generous, as he often did, decided right then and there to gift a Cadillac. Some versions say he gifted this specific yellow Eldorado. Others say seeing someone admire it prompted him to go buy another Cadillac, maybe a different color, maybe an identical one, for that lucky person on the spot. One popular version involves a bank teller named Minnie L. Person. She was apparently admiring Elvis's limo outside a Memphis bank while he was inside. When Elvis came out, he struck up a conversation, asked her what kind of car she drove, and she pointed to her modest older car. Elvis reportedly told her, "That's not a car for a lady like you," took her to a Cadillac dealership, some say Krause Motors, and bought her a brand new 1971 gold and white Eldorado coupe right off the showroom floor. He paid cash, around $11,500. Imagine her shock. Whether the yellow convertible was the exact car given away or just the catalyst, it represents that incredible generosity and impulsiveness Elvis was known for. He saw someone, felt a connection, or just felt like making someone's day or year, and boom, free Cadillac. These weren't cheap cars either. An Eldorado Convertible in '71 cost a pretty penny, starting around $7,750 before options, which was serious money back then. Elvis didn't just buy one of these. He bought several Eldorados over the years, in different colors. Yellow was bold even for Elvis. He clearly enjoyed the power and style of the Eldorado line, especially the convertibles. They were symbols of success and American automotive excess at its finest, perfect for the king. The image of Elvis, sunglasses on, cruising down Elvis Presley Boulevard in a bright yellow Caddy convertible, is pure rock and roll legend. This specific car, or the story it sparked, reminds us that Elvis didn't just collect cars. He shared his fortune in truly spectacular ways. Number 8. The Dictator's Ride. Fit for the king? Elvis didn't just stick to American metal. He appreciated fine European engineering too, especially when it screamed, "I've made it." Enter the Mercedes-Benz 600. this wasn't just any Mercedes. It was THE Mercedes. The 600 was a hand-built, ultra-luxury sedan, and sometimes limousine, favored by heads of state, movie stars, and, well, dictators. Think presidents, popes, John Lennon, Coco Chanel, and yes, Elvis Presley. Elvis bought his first Mercedes-Benz 600, a silver one, around 1970. He later owned at least two more, including a powder blue one. These cars were masterpieces of engineering and cost a fortune, like house money. A standard wheelbase 600 cost around $20,000 in the late 60s, early 70s, which was astronomical. The longer wheelbase Pullman versions cost even more. What made the 600 so special? Pretty much everything. It had a powerful 6.3-liter V8 engine designed specifically for this model. But the real magic was its complex hydraulic system. Forget electric motors for windows, seats, sunroof, trunk lid, and even adjusting the suspension dampers. The 600 used high-pressure hydraulics. Why? Because it was silent and smooth. Operating the windows was like watching a ballet, totally quiet. This system was incredibly complex and expensive to build and maintain, which is why only the wealthiest could afford it. The ride quality was air suspension kept the car perfectly level and absorbed bumps like they weren't even there. Inside was pure luxury, thick carpets, beautiful wood trim, fine leather upholstery. These cars were built like bank vaults, solid and imposing. They weighed over 5,500 pounds. Driving or being driven in a 600 was an experience unlike any other car at the time. Elvis used his 600s for personal transport, often driving them himself despite their size. Imagine the king pulling up to Graceland, or a recording studio in this symbol of ultimate automotive status. It showed he had taste that went beyond Cadillacs and Lincolns. He appreciated the understated, well, relatively understated compared to a pink caddy, but undeniable quality and prestige of the German flagship. One of his 600s, the powder blue 1970 model, is sometimes displayed at Graceland. Seeing it gives you a sense of the sheer presence these cars had. They weren't flashy with fins and chrome like his caddies, but they had an authority, a seriousness that spoke volumes about the owner's status. For Elvis, who hobnobbed with presidents and was arguably the most famous person in the world, the Mercedes-Benz 600 was a perfectly fitting choice. It was a car that said, "I am the king," without needing to shout. Number 7, the Continental Mark, the 5th Limo Custom, King style. Elvis loved luxury, and he loved custom cars. Combine those two, and you get something like his 1960 Lincoln Continental Mark, the 5th Limousine. Wait, Lincoln didn't make a Mark the 5th Limo in 1960. You're right. The Mark the 5th designation was used later. What Elvis had was a 1960 Lincoln Continental limousine, likely a standard factory limo, or a sedan converted by a coach builder like Hess and Eisenhart. But the key thing is, Elvis had it to his exacting, and sometimes unique tastes. The 1960 Lincoln Continental was already a beast. These were huge cars over 19 feet long, with distinctive canted quad headlights and massive tail fins that were slightly tilted inwards. They had powerful V8 engines, a 430 cubic inch monster, and oozed luxury for the era. Standard features included power steering, power brakes, power windows, and usually air conditioning. Limousine versions added even more space and amenities in the rear compartment. But standard wasn't enough for Elvis. He sent his Lincoln off for customization. While exact details vary depending on which specific Lincoln people refer to, he owned several. Common themes in his cruise-send cars included entertainment. TVs were a big one for Elvis long before they were common in cars. He often had small black and white sets installed. Record players or advanced stereo systems were also frequent additions. Imagine listening to your own records while being chauffeured. Refreshments. A bar area, sometimes with a small refrigerator or ice bucket, wasn't uncommon in his custom rides. Perfect for entertaining guests or himself on the road. Communication. An in-car telephone or radio communication system might have been installed, cutting-edge tech for the time. Luxury materials. Upgraded upholstery. Velour was a favorite later. Extra plush carpeting. Maybe even gold-plated interior fittings. He liked gold. Unique paint trim. While some were kept relatively stock-looking on the outside, others received custom paint jobs or trim modifications. One particular story often attached to a giant Elvis Lincoln, sometimes cited as a Mark III or this 60 model, involved gold-plated details. Rumor has it he had things like the ignition key, interior handles, and even the hubcaps plated in gold. Whether this specific 1960 limo got the full gold treatment is debated. But it fits his style. Why, Lincoln limo. It provided privacy and comfort for Elvis and his entourage, the Memphis Mafia. He could relax, conduct business, or travel between cities without being mobbed. It was a mobile sanctuary, and customizing it made it uniquely his, a reflection of his personality and success. These weren't just cars, they were statements. Owning a Trent Lincoln limo in the early 60s put Elvis in the company of presidents and royalty, cementing his image as the king of rock and roll, living a life most people could only dream of. The sheer size and presence of a car like this rolling down the street knowing who was inside must have been incredible. Number 6. The yellow car that Elvis shot. This story is pure Elvis legend, the car. A bright yellow 1971 De Tomaso Pantera. The incident, Elvis, frustrated, actually pulled out a gun and shot it. Yes, really. First the car. The De Tomaso Pantera was an Italian-American hybrid sports car. It had stunning Italian styling by Ghia, designed by Tom Cheda. Low, wide, and aggressive. Think exotic supercar looks. But under the rear deck, lid was pure American muscle. A Ford 351 Cleveland V8 engine. This combo meant exotic looks and performance with relatively easier and cheaper maintenance thanks to the Ford engine. Panteras were fast, capable of hitting speeds over 150 mph, which was serious business in the early 70s. Elvis bought his yellow Pantera in 1974, a apparently as a gift for his then-girlfriend, Linda Thompson. It was a flashy, exciting car, very different from his usual Cadillacs and Lincolns. It showed his appreciation for performance and head-turning style. The bright yellow paint certainly made it stand out even in Elvis's colorful collection. Now, the shooting incident? There are a couple of versions, but the core story remains the same. One day, Elvis and Linda were heading out, maybe for a drive or to run an errand. Elvis got behind the wheel of the Pantera, turned the key, and it wouldn't start. Italian cars of that era, even with American engines, could sometimes be temperamental. Elvis tried again. Still, nothing. Frustrated, and likely not in the best mood, Elvis reportedly did what any perfectly rational, fabulously wealthy global superstar would do. He got out of the car, pulled out a handgun he often carried, and shot the Pantera. Some accounts say he shot the steering wheel. Others say the dashboard or the door panel. Linda Thompson herself has confirmed the story, mentioning he shot the steering wheel and dashboard. Apparently, after his outburst, he declared something like, "Well, honey, I'll get that fixed. Why shoot a car?" It speaks volumes about Elvis's personality in his later years, his famous temper, his impulsiveness, and maybe the frustration that came with his immense fame and isolation. It also shows his relationship with material possessions. They were ultimately just things, easily replaceable or fixable with his vast resources. Annoyed, shoot it. Problem solved, sort of. The bullet holes were indeed repaired. The car wasn't destroyed, just disciplined. Elvis kept the Pantera for a while longer before eventually selling or trading it. It survived its encounter with the King's firearm and still exists today, occasionally making appearances at car shows or museums. The bullet hole story makes it one of the most infamous cars Elvis ever owned, a testament to a moment when rock and roll excess met automotive frustration head-on. It's a wild tale, but with Elvis, the wild tales were often true. Number 5. A prancing horse for the King, Elvis, and Ferrari. Did Elvis Presley own a Ferrari? Yes, he did. While known for his love of American luxury barges and the occasional German status symbol, Elvis also dipped his toes into the world of Italian sports cars with a 1975 Ferrari Dino 308 GT4. This was a significant departure for Elvis. Ferraris weren't just cars, they were thoroughbred performance machines, demanding respect and skill. The Dino 308 GT4 was particularly interesting. It was the first production Ferrari powered by a mid-mounted V8 engine. Previous Dinos were V6s and not officially badged as Ferraris until later. It was also Ferrari's first V8-powered 2+2-seater, meaning it had small rear seats, theoretically making it slightly more practical than a two-seater. The styling, by Bertone, specifically Marcello Gandini, who also designed the Lamborghini Countach, was controversial for a Ferrari at the time. It featured sharp, angular lines, very different from the traditional curvy Pininfarina designs associated with the brand. It looked modern, aggressive, and quite distinct. Elvis reportedly bought his Dino 308 GT4 secondhand in October 1976. It was finished in Rosso Chiaro, bright red, the classic Ferrari color. Why this specific car? Maybe he was looking for something sportier, something different. The mid-engine layout and the Ferrari mystique might have appealed to his sense of adventure. Or perhaps someone recommended it. He bought it through a California dealership, possibly on a whim during one of his trips there. The Dino 308 GT4 wasn't the fastest Ferrari ever made, but it was quick for its day. The 3.0-liter V8 produced around 240 to 250 horsepower, depending on market spec, good for a top speed of about 150 mph and a 0 to 60 mph time in the sub-7-second range. It offered a very direct, engaging driving experience, communicative steering, a gated manual shifter, that classic Ferrari clink-clank, and an engine that loved to rev. How much did Elvis drive it? Reports suggest not very much. It was purchased fairly late in his life, less than a year before he passed away in August 1977. Compared to his Cadillacs or Stutz Tycols, which he used frequently, the Ferrari seems to have been more of a novelty or a collector's item for him. Maybe the driving position wasn't comfortable for him, or perhaps the Italian temperament didn't suit his daily driving needs. The car's history after Elvis is clearer. He sold it or traded it relatively quickly, possibly within months. The car has since passed through several owners and is known on the Elvis car circuit. Its value is significantly enhanced by its connection to the king. Owning a Ferrari, even briefly, adds another layer to Elvis's automotive legacy. It shows he wasn't just about chrome and fins. He appreciated performance and exotic machinery too. The image of Elvis Presley, the ultimate American icon, stepping out of a bright red Italian sports car is fascinating. It might not be the car most associated with him, but the fact that he owned a Ferrari Dino 308 GT4 is a cool piece of automotive trivia for fans of both the king and the prancing horse. Number 4. The BMW 507, a German roadster, gets the Elvis touch. During his U.S. Army service in Germany, 1958 to 1960, Elvis didn't stop enjoying cool cars. In fact, he acquired one of the most beautiful and rare cars he ever owned, a BMW 507 Roadster. The BMW 507 was stunning. Designed by Count Albrecht Lungertz, it was a sleek, elegant two-seater convertible, aimed at the lucrative American market to compete with cars like the Mercedes-Benz 300 SL. It featured BMW's first V8 engine, a 3.2-liter unit producing around 150 horsepower. While not overwhelmingly powerful, it was light and agile, offering a sporty driving experience. The car's flowing lines, classic kidney grille, and luxurious interior made it incredibly desirable. However, the 507 was astronomically expensive to produce. Its hand-built aluminum body meant costs spiraled, pushing the price tag way above competitors. BMW ended up losing money on every single one they built. As a result, only 252 production models, plus a couple of prototypes, were ever made between 1956 and 1959, making it extremely rare and sought after today. Elvis encountered the 507 while stationed in Bad Nauheim, Germany. The story goes that he first saw the car driven by racing driver Hans Stuck. Elvis was captivated. He needed a car for personal transport while off duty, and this glamorous roadster fit the bill perfectly. The specific 507 Elvis acquired, chassis number 70,079, had a bit of history already. It wasn't brand new. It had been used as a press demonstrator by BMW, and possibly raced by Hans Stuck. When Elvis got it in December 1958, it was painted feather white. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Elvis, being Elvis, attracted a lot of attention, especially from female fans. Legend has it that female admirers would constantly leave messages for him written in lipstick on the white paintwork of the BMW. While flattering, constantly cleaning lipstick off his car apparently became annoying, his solution: repaint the car. Elvis had the stunning white BMW 507 painted a vibrant red. No more visible lipstick messages. He used the car extensively during his time in Germany, driving between his off-base residence and the army base, and likely for leisure trips. Imagine seeing Sergeant Presley cruising the German countryside in a bright red BMW sports car when his army service ended in 1960. Elvis brought the red 507 back to the United States. However, he didn't keep it for long. He soon traded it in at a Chrysler dealership in New York. Why? Perhaps the European sports car didn't quite fit his American lifestyle. Or maybe he just wanted something new, as he often did. The car then passed through several owners, its connection to Elvis sometimes known, sometimes forgotten. It was eventually bought by a California engineer named Jack Castor in 1968, who stored it for decades, intending to restore it someday. He knew it was a valuable 507, but its link to Elvis wasn't fully confirmed until later research. In 2014, BMW Group, Classic, acquired the car from Castor's estate and undertook a painstaking 2-year restoration. They meticulously researched its history, confirming it was indeed Elvis's car. They decided to restore it back to its original feather, white color, as it was when Elvis first acquired it. The restored BMW 507, looking absolutely factory fresh, debuted at the Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance in 2016 to worldwide acclaim. The Elvis BMW 507 is now considered one of the most famous and valuable BMWs in existence, a gorgeous piece of automotive history intertwined with the story of the world's biggest rock star during a unique chapter of his life. Number 3. The Stutz Black Hawk, Elvis's later life love affair. In the 1970s, Elvis developed a serious fondness for a new breed of American luxury car, the Stutz Black Hawk. He didn't just own one, he owned several, and they became his signature rides during the final years of his life. The Stutz Motor Car Company of America was revived in the late 1960s by James O'Donnell, aiming to create an exclusive hand-crafted luxury car reminiscent of the original Stutz brand's glory days, 1935. The new Stutz Black Hawk debuted in 1970. Designed by Virgil Exner, famous for his Chrysler forward-look designs, the Black Hawk was flamboyant and distinctive. It featured a long hood, a short deck, a prominent grille, faux side pipe exhaust running along the sills, freestanding headlamps, and a spare tire that protruded through the trunk lid. The look was polarizing. Some loved its neoclassical extravagance, others found it gaudy. But it undeniably made a statement. Underneath the custom bodywork, the Black Hawk was based on General Motors components, primarily using a Pontiac Grand Prix chassis and running gear. Early models used Pontiac V8 engines, while later ones often used Cadillac or Chevrolet power. This meant that while the styling was unique, the mechanicals were relatively reliable and familiar. The interiors were lavish. Think Connolly leather upholstery, the same used by Rolls-Royce, thick lambswool carpets, burled wood trim, and often gold-plated bezels and controls. Each car was hand-built in Italy, at Carrozzeria Badane, or later Carrozzeria Saturn, taking around 1,500 man-hours to complete. They were incredibly expensive, costing more than most Rolls-Royces or Cadillacs. Prices started around $22,500 in 1970 and climbed significantly higher through the decade. Elvis saw the prototype Black Hawk in late 1970 and was immediately smitten. He bought the very first production Stutz Black Hawk ever sold, a 1971 model, reportedly paying $26,500 for it. This black coupe became his instant favorite. Unfortunately, it was damaged in an accident relatively early on, driven by a hired chauffeur, not Elvis. But Elvis wasn't deterred. He went on to buy at least 3 more Keikerts. A black 1971 model to replace the damaged first one, a white 1972 model, a black 1973 model. He might have owned even more, or leased them. Sources vary, but his preference for the Black Hawk in the 70s is undisputed. He was often photographed driving them or arriving at concerts and events in them. They perfectly matched his flashy Las Vegas-era jumpsuits and oversized jewelry. The Stutz Black Hawk was arguably the car most associated with Elvis in his final years. The last known photograph of Elvis alive, taken just hours before his death on August 16, 1977, shows him driving his black 1973 Stutz Black Hawk III back into Graceland after a late-night dentist appointment. Why did he love the Stutz so much? It offered exclusivity. Very few were made each year, perhaps 25 to 35 annually. It had that bold, look-at-me styling that Elvis always favored. It combined American V8 power and reliability with European craftsmanship, or at least Italian assembly, and luxurious materials. It was the ultimate personal luxury coupe of the era for someone who wanted something different from the mainstream Cadillacs and Lincolns, yet still undeniably American in spirit. Today, several of Elvis's Stutz Kikas survive. His 1973 Black Hawk III is on permanent display at Graceland, a poignant reminder of the King's final ride. The Stutz Black Hawk remains a fascinating footnote in automotive history, made infinitely more famous by its association with its most loyal and iconic customer, Elvis Presley. Number 2. The first pink Cadillac, the one that got away, briefly. Everyone knows about Elvis's pink Cadillac. But wait, there were 2 pink Cadillacs early on. The story of the first one is crucial to understanding how the truly iconic one came to be. In early 1955, Elvis's career was taking off. He'd signed with Sun Records, scored some regional hits, That's All Right, Blue Moon of Kentucky, and was touring relentlessly. With his newfound earnings, he wanted to buy a flashy new car. He chose a 1954 Cadillac Series 62 sedan, Now this Caddy wasn't pink initially, it was pinkish. Reports suggest it was finished in a standard Cadillac color called Cadillac Pink or Arlington Green, with a pink roof. Some sources even say it was originally blue or gray. Whatever the original shade, Elvis used it for touring with his bandmates, Scotty Moore, guitar, and Bill Black, bass. They piled their instruments in the back and crisscrossed the South playing shows and building their legend. This car was a workhorse, a symbol of their rising success. But Elvis had a specific vision. He wanted a truly pink Cadillac, a custom color that would really pop. Sometime in the spring of 1955, he reportedly took this '54 Caddy to a paint shop. Here's where the famous Elvis Rose color story begins, but it applies more directly to the next Cadillac. For this '54, it seems he had it repainted, possibly in a more vibrant pink shade than the factory offered, making it stand out even more. Tragedy struck just a few months later. On June 5, 1955, while the band was traveling between Hope and Texarkana, Arkansas, the Cadillac caught fire. Scotty Moore was driving. A brake lining reportedly failed and ignited, quickly engulfing the car in flames. Thankfully, Elvis, Scotty, and Bill all escaped unharmed, but the Cadillac was destroyed, along with some instruments and belongings inside. Bill Black's precious double bass was strapped to the roof and miraculously survived with only minor damage. Imagine the scene. Elvis and his band, standing on the side of a highway, watching their symbol of success go up in smoke. It must have been devastating. This wasn't just transportation. It was their tour bus, their rolling office, their statement to the world. But Elvis wasn't one to stay down. The loss of the first pink-ish Cadillac didn't deter his love for the brand or the color. In fact, it set the stage for him to buy an even better, more luxurious Cadillac just a month later. This new car would become the definitive pink Cadillac, the one indelibly linked to his name and image forever. The story of the first ill-fated 1954 Cadillac is important. It shows Elvis's early taste for Cadillacs and custom colors. It highlights the rough and tumble reality of touring in the early days of rock and roll. And its fiery demise directly led to the purchase of the car that would become a global icon. Without the loss of this first Caddy, the legend of the pink Cadillac might have been very different. Number 1. The most famous pink car in history. Period. This is it. The icon, the legend. The 1955 Cadillac Fleetwood Series 60 Special that became known simply as Elvis's Pink Cadillac. Even people who know nothing else about Elvis Presley often know about this car. Just a month after his first '54 Cadillac burned on the roadside, Elvis walked into a Memphis dealership in July 1955 and bought a brand new top-of-the-line Cadillac Fleetwood Series 60 Special Sedan. The Fleetwood was a step up from the Series 62 he had before. Bigger, more luxurious, more prestigious. It had a powerful 331 cubic inch V8 engine power, everything, air conditioning, a huge luxury then, and those iconic nascent tail fins that would grow much larger in subsequent years. This car wasn't pink when Elvis bought it. Its original color scheme was blue with a black roof. But Elvis had plans. He immediately took it to his preferred local paint shop, owned by a man named Art, located conveniently across the street from Graceland, which Elvis wouldn't buy until 1957. Elvis wanted it pink, but not just any pink. He wanted a custom shade. The story goes that Elvis described the color he wanted, and Art mixed up a special hue. This custom color became known as Elvis Rose. The car was repainted entirely in this vibrant pink, but Elvis kept the roof black initially. He presented this stunning, newly pink and black Cadillac to his beloved mother, Gladys Presley, as a gift. Now, the touching, slightly ironic part. Gladys Presley never had a driver's license and never learned to drive. The gift was symbolic. It was Elvis who grew up poor, showing his mother how far he'd come and giving her the very best. Even if she couldn't drive it herself, it was hers. Because Gladys didn't drive it, Elvis and his band used the car frequently in late 1955 and early 1956 for touring, just like the previous Caddy. However, this time they were hitting the big-time national TV appearances, recording contracts with RCA Victor. The pink Cadillac became synonymous with Elvis's meteoric rise to fame. Sometime in 1956, the car had a minor mishap. It was involved in a fender bender. When it went in for repairs, Elvis decided to make a few more changes. He had the roof repainted white, creating the iconic pink and white color scheme we know today. He also reportedly had the upholstery redone, possibly adding black and white trim to match the new exterior look. After its touring duties were over, the pink Cadillac settled into life at Graceland. It remained Gladys's car until her untimely death in 1958. After that, Elvis kept it, ensuring it was preserved. He occasionally let friends or family use it, but it was primarily kept as a cherished memento. It wasn't one of the cars he gave away impulsively. This one was special. It represented his love for his mother and the realization of his dreams. Unlike many of his other cars that were sold, traded, or gifted, the 1955 pink Cadillac stayed with Elvis for the rest of his life. Today, it holds pride of place at the Graceland Automobile Museum in Memphis, Tennessee. It's arguably the most famous car in the world, instantly recognizable and forever linked to the king of rock and roll. It's more than just a car. It's a piece of American cultural history, a symbol of success, generosity, and the enduring legend of Elvis Presley. Its image has graced album covers, inspired songs, and captured the imagination of millions for decades. It truly is the ultimate Elvis car.